up. It's not a coincidence, obviously, that you wound up doing this. So when did you launch Dollar Shave Club, and tell us what Dollar Shave Club is?
Sure. Dollar Shave Club, if you ask most guys how they feel about buying razors, they would say, I would imagine that it's very expensive and you're frustrated with the experience of buying them. I don't know if you guys, where most guys in here, how many of you guys are using Gillette? Okay. How many guys are using Schick? 2 guys, all right. Anybody using Dollar Shave Club? All right,
Few?
well, that'll change.
Few. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, I mean, how many people would think that the razors that they're buying right now are overpriced? Okay. So I remember when I was in my 20s in New York, living on rice and beans, I would always bristle at the cost of razors. I'd get to the counter. Actually, I'd go into the store. I'd try to find that razor fortress, which is always locked. You got to find the guy with the key. He's always doing something else. He's texting his girlfriend. You get him, you open the case, you walk to the register. That whole thing takes 10 minutes, longer if you're driving your car and going out of your way. And I hated that. And then you get to the register and it's 25 bucks. Or 20 bucks or whatever it is. It's too much for a little couple pieces of metal that scrape the hair off your face. So I always kind of bristled at that. And so Dollar Shave Club, we started to eliminate that problem or solve that problem. So we send, for a couple bucks a month, high quality razors right to your door. And if you use the service, what you will start to discover is that it feels incredible to shave with a fresh blade every week and not have to worry about the price and not milk that sorry old razor blade, again and again and again. And what we're selling is the fearless, affordable shave, and that's what Dollar Shave Club is.
And so you're in an industry. You enter an industry with 2 massive players. How big is the industry, by the way? How big is the
I should know this, but I know that it's about a $15 billion industry in the United States, just men's.
Just men's razors is $15 billion a year, and there are 2 major players, basically.
So
right?
Gillette has about 70% of the market. Schick has about 20, and then Bic has a couple nickels and dimes.
And when did you launch Dollar Shave Club?
So we launched we launched the beta version of the site in July 2011 after starting the project in December 2010. We relaunched in March 2012 with 3 products instead of 1, and a new site and a video that told the story of what we were doing, and things have been very different since then.
Let's take a look at one of the greatest viral marketing videos of all time. You can hit the lights and give us some volume.
Wait, before you play that,
okay.
How many people have seen this already?
Few.
And how many saw this before you knew that I was coming to this class?
There you go.
Okay. So if you've all seen that video, why aren't you members? Is that too expensive? Is $1 too much?
Speaking of cost, how much did that video cost to make?
We paid, we spent about $4,500 and then maybe a couple grand to license the song at the end. But again, I did that with a friend who was a director who I worked with in New York on some comedy stuff, and it was like a favor to a friend type thing. I don't really think I paid her much. I think I maybe gave her $500 and everything else went to bear costumes and wagons and other stuff, a machete.
Machete.
Yeah.
And as of now, about how many times has it been viewed?
I haven't checked recently. 8.5 million? It's pretty good. Thank you.
Do you have 8.5 million student buyers?
No.
That'd be a great conversion ratio.
That
for
would be
anybody.
incredible. That would be incredible.
So what happens after you launch that video, and tell us the difference in the business immediately?
Yeah, well, it was actually a very terrifying time. So I started the business in my apartment after I met my friend's fiance's father at a cocktail party, who was able to help us get some some inexpensive razor inventory to test the concept. And I put my life savings into the business, and I left my job and made a lot of personal sacrifices. I moved into a a studio bungalow where the toilet was 5 steps from my bed. It was sanitary. I mean, it was a very nice bungalow. It was in Venice, and in some backyard. So it wasn't a slum, but it was small, and it was downsized from what I had been living in. So I'd made a lot of sacrifices and took a lot of risk to do this because I believed in the power of brand, and I believed in our ability to solve this problem with great product and great marketing. And so I'd made a lot of sacrifices, and I had spent a year running the business, building the website, finding a distribution center, going down to mom blog conferences in San Diego to tell these women, these discount bloggers about us in hopes that they would write about us. And just really watching that needle go down on the bank account, and then finding an angel investor and convincing them that this was something worthwhile, and then rebuilding the site because what we had, there's an older, cached version of the site that if anybody knows how to do that and you go back and look for it, you'll see that it does not look as pretty as the current one. So building a new site and networking to find great talent and wooing those people away from the jobs that they were in and saying, no, really, we're going to do this. We're going to sell razors on the internet and it's going to be great. And you should leave what you're doing in your 6-figure job and come work for me. The guy who lives in the slum. I worked and I shot the video and I used that video to help raise money and we build and you work and you sacrifice and you build all to this moment, you tee it up and then it launches and it goes like way better than you could ever possibly expect it to go. And everybody's picking it up. Every blog you've ever heard of, every media site you've ever heard of is picking it. It was a slow news day, so there were no shark attacks that day. So we benefited from that, but everybody picked it up, and everybody, it was the right time of year. It was right before South by Southwest. Everybody was kind of thinking digital and entertainment and all the things that South by Southwest represents. I think South by started the next day, so everyone was just kind of in that mode. And then here we go and launch with some backing from some pretty big Silicon Valley investors and $1 million of seed funding in this video, which is funny, that solves a very big problem, that solves an important pain point. And goes better than you ever expect that it would. And we launched the video at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, March 6th, 2012. And by 7:30, the site was down because it had crashed from so much traffic. And if you go back to the early comments in the early days of YouTube, you'll see some of those comments are, wow, what a great idea for a business. Someone should actually do this. Because you couldn't get on the site. And that was scary. That was, you see this great pickup and you see this great response and, you're thinking to yourself, holy shit, I just sacrificed everything and we're missing this moment. Like, no one can get on the website. Holy shit, this is crazy. And so that was a terrifying 24 hours. And then the site comes back up, we got it working, and which goes to show you how kind of unprepared on the tech side we were for this. Then about 3 days later, we were sold out of all our inventory for like 2.5 months. And so, I'm thinking to myself, and I can't really tell you the number of subscribers or any of that stuff, but suffice it to say that, we had tens of thousands of members sign up in the first 3 days, and that sold us out of our first batch of inventory. And we were dark, meaning we were taking orders, but we were sold out. We couldn't deliver anything for 2.5 months. And that was terrifying because you say to yourself, I made all these sacrifices. I've always wanted to start a business. I've always been entrepreneurial, and this was the thing. This was it. This was everything. And then you think, holy shit, it might be gone just as fast as it got switched on. And we were very fortunate that the web is very startup friendly, and people love the underdog because the comments were very supportive. That when we told them, hey, thanks for your, and again, this is $6 we're talking about here for our middle tier package, so it's not a ton of money for most people. And so we were lucky that people were like, don't worry about it, congratulations, this is awesome, we're with you, stick with it, all of that stuff. And while we never will know what the full upside of those first 2.5 months would have been, we weathered the storm pretty well, I think, and we're still here, we're still alive, which anybody who's started a business can tell you. Sometimes just surviving is a huge fucking accomplishment, and the last year has been incredible and terrifying, and we are still very much in freaky startup town. We are a little bit more stable than we were at the beginning. Well, a lot more stable than we were at the beginning. But with a startup, and we're doing really well. But with a startup, anything can happen at any moment, and it's your job as the startup founder or CEO, whatever role of leadership you have, to just anticipate every scenario as best you can and try to plan for it. So the last year's been amazing, and hopefully this year's going to be a lot better.
Congratulations for weathering the first year. That's not easy to do. How is something like Dollar Shave Club sort of possible now, where maybe 5, maybe even 10 years ago, it would be really tough to take on such large entrenched players?
Absolutely. It's the web. The web has come a long way, and there are a lot of stories out there, and I don't need to go into them, but there are a lot of stories of companies that were just too early because, America wasn't ready for their idea, and then 5 years later, somebody does it. They tried it, they went out of business. 5 years later, somebody else came along and did it because everybody was ready for it. So there was a societal thing, I think, 5 years ago where a lot of people, even though we were accustomed to paying for certain things on a monthly basis, like our magazines or our cable bill and our electricity, I think most people would file the monthly thing into the utility bucket. I would guess. I know there's other examples. Fruit of the Month Club was around and certainly doing well since I was a kid. But I think people were still a little bit leery of A, buying things on the internet, and B, buying them blindly with regularity. So I think 5 years ago, our idea just flat out wouldn't have worked. And from a societal standpoint, from a infrastructural standpoint, I don't think that fulfillment houses and all of the software features that are required for our business were even available then. It would have been a much more of a hackathon than the current site, where all of the elements are kind of there to kind of glob onto one another to make the monster roar. And then also from a web standpoint, a social standpoint, I mean, 5 years ago, it's 2013, so 2007. I mean, yeah, Facebook was here and big, and I don't know what MySpace's story was at that point. Twitter was very, very young. The social infrastructure was a lot less then, and the ability for a story like ours and a video like ours to go viral so fast, I don't think was there as much as it is now. There are more blogs, there are more bloggers, there are more influencers, there's just more smart people on the web as nodes in the machine to ping information and stories out further and further and further, and that just wasn't there.
And did anyone ever sort of say what the value of that might have been in terms of publicity and marketing for you guys?
I mean, it's really invaluable because now we have the attention that we have, and yeah, I mean, it's invaluable.
Yeah, you couldn't, in the old days with advertising through traditional methods, a startup could never afford to reach that many people and that many impressions. So the virality of it is something that allows a startup to do that.
That's right.
What about Let's talk brand. You're a marketing guy.
Sure.
Let's talk about the brand, what it stands for. First of all, the tagline or the mantra, which is phenomenal. Share that with everybody. What is it?
Shave time, shave money.
That's awesome. That's just awesome. That really, I mean, you can come down to like 3 or 4 words that captures your business instantly, you're onto something. And then define the brand and who's your customer.
Well, our customer surprisingly is everybody. And that's not to say that that's what we think of when we when we make new creative or when we think about new products. I mean, the company is very much designed for men ages 25 to 50, so to speak. But that's who we build our products for. The new products which we'll be launching, and that's who we think of in our mind when we write creative and build the site, new pages, etc. But we have 70-year-old women who are our customer. We have kids in high school that are our customers, and that is one thing that you just really couldn't have planned for either, was the universality, and we're really fortunate that this happened. This is not something that we planned for. The universality of how this brand resonates and how that video resonated across generations. My grandmother, who's 95 and uses the web, which is a miracle in and of itself, loved the video, but she loved it because I'm in the video, probably. She's like, whenever I miss you, I watch your video, which is heartbreaking and terrifying. But she showed it to her friends who are 70, and they would say that's incredible, and they would laugh, and it's that person, and then it's people like you and me and everybody, and that's incredible. So it's.
So not just sort of age-wise, but psychographically, who's your core customer? I mean, what do they think? What do they, are they label lickers? Do they need brands? Are they value-driven? I mean.
Yeah, so we don't spend a ton of time on psychographics necessarily. We look at problems that exist, and we say, how are we going to solve those problems? Number one problem was expensive razors. And the primitive experience of going to the store to buy them. We came up with a solution for that, and in that regard, we say our customer is anybody that wants to buy razors or that is frustrated with that. As we go into new products, and I can't unfortunately talk about it here just yet, but as we look at other products, what's the problem with the products as they exist right now? How do we fix that? I would say when I think of the person in my mind that we're trying to reach and satisfy, it is probably a 28 to 30-year-old guy who has a good job, and he's starting to form opinions about the things he really likes to buy, clothing-wise, food-wise, how he likes to travel, and it doesn't necessarily matter what those choices are, whether he likes to go to Cancun and drink out of fish bowls, or whether he likes to go to Lake Como in Italy and drink rosé. It doesn't matter. It's that the stage of life where they are starting to really say, you know what, I really like this, I really like that, and it's that. Look, we all know who we are at a very young age, but it's when you're in your mid-20s that you start to have a little bit of money, and you're like, holy shit, I can buy stuff. I don't have to ask for money anymore, or I don't have to take a loan out anymore, and that's when you really start to kind of discover. That's when I first started to discover what I really liked to do, travel-wise, clothing-wise, et cetera, because I could actually afford those stuff. And before that, I was operating off, a budget because I was, I had loans and things like that. So it's more about that mindset and that person that's in that stage of their life that I think about when we think about brand and product.
And speaking of sort of brand and DNA, well, I don't have my phone with me, but I have a picture. So what comes in everything you do? The personality of the brand comes through, right?
Sure.
So they know. When you get your blades,
yes.
What comes with the blades?
So we always send a little postcard. and a business card that just has some reinforcement of the brand and why you are loving the product. So 1 month it might feature a little business card that's put on the back of your blade cassette that says, you know, it feels fucking great, shaving with a fresh blade, or XO the chairman, or something like that. Hey, your face called. It's time to change your blade. Things like that. So just a fun, irreverent way of communicating with that's where we get to have a relationship with our customer once a month, and that's really we don't want to bug you. A lot of e-commerce companies will bug you and bug you and bug you. We want to leave you alone because it's annoying. You've got a lot of stuff that you're doing in your life. We want to just hit you once a month, give you what you need, give you a laugh, reinforce the idea of why you're loving the product, and then reinforce that we're in business with you. So sometimes we feature a picture of an employee. And something that they're doing. Like we had some guy. I don't know if he went to USC. I think he went to either USC or UCLA. And
there's a big difference between.
No, I understand that. Yeah. UCLA, we're gonna fire him. He like wears these deep V-necks. And he was eating South Beach diet bars during the summer. His name's Jordan, so if you want to blow him up on Twitter, go for it. But we did a postcard of him, and we just put him on picture of him with the deep V, with the diet bars on the desk, and just said something like Euro Shave Club. We just launched Euro Shave Club total members 1. And it was a picture of Jordan with his deep V.
Rocking the deep V.
Rocking the deep V, yeah. So, that's fun, and, it's fun for us, it's fun for me, because I like writing things that are funny. But it's also, we're developing a relationship with our customers, and it's more than just sending you crap and hoping that you don't cancel.
Yeah, my nephew's a member, and so he shot pictures of that card and the card from the chairman. He says he looks forward to your messages as much as he looks forward to the blades. So.
And that's the point, That's you talk. I'm sorry I missed the Cherokee uniforms guy, but create value and don't think about making money. That's that is true. And value doesn't mean just saving people a couple bucks or it's a holistic. Value is a holistic notion.
Yeah. I'm going to ask one